It's the UEFA Champions League, a chance to join the league phase. One of these teams, 180 minutes and maybe more from potentially rubbing shoulders with the likes of ESG, Arsenal, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, and Inter Milan. While the loser will still be in Europe, but in the Europa League, and also won't get the financial benefit of a trip to the Champions League phase. Tonight, Celtic, the champions of Scotland, against the champions of Austria, LASK, in the first of two important matches. We got the first leg on another European night at Parkhead. Good evening, everybody, or good afternoon, depending on which part of the world you're choosing to access us from. We'll just say hello again, everybody. I'm Seth Eves. Thank you so much for being with us. We've at Safety, the best seat in the house. What a matchup we have here. In Celtic, you have a team that, of course, that was in such disarray for points of last season, but yet rallied right at the end with Martin O'Neill's stewardship, and they ended up winning the Scottish Premiership title. Now they're back in the Champions League, a place they, just a couple of years ago, went to the knockout round playoffs and really gave it their all against a team in Bayern Munich, which was one of the better ones, of course, last season. Meanwhile, for the Austrian club LASK, Linzer Athletic Sports Club, it was a dream season 1 year ago. They won their second top-flight Austrian title, and in their first in 61 years. They've been a stalwart, if you will, in the European scene. They just haven't been in this particular part of it, but such is life these days. The Celtic team that Martin O'Neill puts out here, he goes with Vijami Sinisalo at the back, a back four of Kieran Tierney, Austin Trusty, Cameron Carter-Vickers, and Colby Donovan, Bauer, Nygren, and Callum McGregor, the three that were in the midfield, as Sandro Schär, the Swiss referee, gets things rolling. Back four of Bauer, Nygren, and McGregor. The three up front for Celtic includes Huijin Yang, Casper Ho, and Camilo Duran. So that is the front three. Sandro shares our referee. And again, LASK. We'll give you the LASK starting 11 here in just a moment. Yes, the LASK side looks like this. Lucas Jungwirth is in goal. It's a back three of Andrade. The back three, Andres Andrade, the Panamanian international, also joining him in that back line. That line is Tornich and Mbuyama. Mbuyama is a five-man midfield with Bello, Horvath, Labucic, Danjic, and Jurgensen, with Usor and Adendrian leading the line for Dietmar Kubar's team. Well, it's another one of those big European nights at Celtic Park that they always like to talk about. It can be a very, very special atmosphere. Celtic at the familiar green and white hoops with the Austrian champions wearing their black shirts. Waiting for the ball to be put in the center of the field. The club from Austria have brought their fans with them for support on what promises to be just a truly special evening. Still, we wait for the signal to get everything started. Our Swiss referee says you can start now. And so a journey on for one of these two teams, one that's familiar with the big stage of the Champions League, the other who is not quite up to the big stage of it. LASK's European Cup history is very minimal. In the preliminary round in '66, they lost to a Polish side, but hold that thought, they're in with a real chance here, and they scored! No, they haven't. The flag's up. Flag's up. Nearly an unbelievably stunning start for the Austrian champions. Moses Uzor nearly stunned Celtic Park to its core. They're going right to left in black, Celtic left to right in the famous green and white hoops. Oh my goodness. But to finish up with LASK's history in this particular competition, 1966, they made it to, they call it for what was then the European Cup. In the 2019-20 campaign, they got very close. They got to this stage, the playoff round, before losing 3-1 on aggregate to Club Brugge. LASK did not even participate in Europe last season, which makes their run to Austrian championships just so wild. They've only been runner-up twice. They've won the second division 5 times. They're in again here last. Flag has stayed down this time, and this time the finish is unbelievably lacking. And the American Samuel Adeniran should have made it 1-0. Mentioned LASK winning a league championship for the second time. They won the Austrian Cup. That was also just the second time. The first time was also the only 2 times they've won the league and cup. They did it the same year. They did the double, 65 and then last season. Celtic now passing the ball around. LASK have played Scottish opposition in Europe on several occasions, most recently in the playoff round, the 2021-22 Conference League playoffs, where they ran out 3-1 aggregate winners over St. Johnston. Also in 1995, they drew 2-2 with Partick Thistle in group stages of the now defunct Intertoto Cup. In '85, the UEFA Cup, which is now the Europa League, second round, they lost to Dundee United. I'll give you Celtics history in somewhat, I promise. Here is Yang Hyun Jun. In the 4th minute here is Celtic now try to pass this ball around. Again, just extremely early days in this one. If you are just joining us, and it is very early, LASK had the ball in the back of the net, but had a goal ruled out. It was ruled out for offside. Now they push forward again, LASK. George Bello, another American. So there are two American eligible internationals, George Bello and Samuel Adeniran in this side. Bello was born in Nigeria but moved with his family to Douglasville, Georgia when he was just a year old. From the Peach State to the Champions League for George Bello. Now Celtic run right-hand side. Here is Camilo Duran. Duran now going to cut to his left. Still trying to cut to his left. Now gets it to McGregor. The long-serving captain and stalwart of this Celtic team, Callum McGregor. Cameron Carter-Vickers. Now Colby Donovan on the right-hand side. Donovan and pushed away by Bello. Adeniran was born in America and spent a lot of time playing in Mexico and the U.S. before his big move to Austria. Adeniran's from Houston, Texas. But the climate's a bit different for him, from Houston, Texas to the country of Austria. Foul, free kick, Celtic. Right on the edge of the box. These clubs couldn't be any different. We mentioned LASK and all their relative lack of success. Here in Celtic, you're talking about 56 times Scottish League champions. 43 times they've won the Scottish Cup. And they have won this competition back in 1967. The Lisbon Lions, 1970, they were runners-up. They also made the Europa League final back. Europe, it was the UEFA Cup back in 2003. Free kick here for Celtic. Celtic last season were the Europa League. They made it to the knockout phase playoffs. They were beaten in the Champions League playoffs on penalties by Kairat, the Azerbaijan side. They made it through the league phase, which included an Austrian team, their most recent game with an Austrian team. They beat Sturm Graz 2-1 for falling in the knockout phase playoffs to Stuttgart. Here is the Celtic free kick. Whipping it over the wall. Wall did its job. Good block. Still alive, though, with Celtic. Benjamin Nygren gets it into Duran and shot saved. Fun, thick and fast start as the rain falls in Glasgow. Mentioned the two Americans. Celtic also with two Americans, of course. You know about Austin Trusty, the 28-year-old from Media, Pennsylvania, and Cameron Carter-Vickers, who was actually born in England. But played in Bradenton, Florida with Tottenham's Academy, and he was eligible for a U.S. passport because his father was an American citizen, and that's how that works. Celtic playing in the back. Here is the aforementioned Carter-Vickers in the back. Celtic off to a very good start of their championship defense in Scotland. They have played 2 and won 2 in the league, beating Dundee and Kilmarnock, winning those games by an aggregate score of 6-1. This past weekend, Celtic were winners in the second round of the Scottish League Cup when they won 4-0 over Dundee United in the second round. Their quarterfinal draw is just a scotch tasty. They play Rangers. Here's Donovan. Ball right-hand side. Duran, can he get there? That's a half-decent touch for Duran. And it just drifts away for the goal. And Martin O'Neill's team will, no doubt, pleased with that one. I mentioned the fact that it was so hectic for Celtic. Brendan Rodgers started the year as their manager. Then Martin O'Neill, for about a month or so, was the interim. Wilfred Nancy came in. Disaster. O'Neill came back and saved the season for them, including that wild 3-1 win against Hearts. They won their last 7 of the season, including that 3-1 title decider against Hearts at Parkhead on the final day. Here's another LASK cross, and Celtic are able to head it away. It was a convincing header, though, but it does go back to Salo in goal. Celtic also winning the Scottish Cup last year. They beat Auchinleck, Talbot, Dundee, Rangers, and St Mirren before beating Dunfermline 3-1 in the final. They also made the League Cup final last season, but lost 3-1 to St Mirren. 21st, as mentioned, in the Europa League phase. They won 3 matches, beating Sturm Graz, Feyenoord, and Utrecht. Drew twice against Red Star Belgrade and Bologna, and the 3 losses to Braga, Midtjylland, and Roma. For that 4-2 aggregate loss to Celtic, to Stuttgart, which included a 4-1 loss at Parkhead in the first leg. Here come LASK again. Here is Adinarin with a shot, and it's straight at the goalkeeper. Well, LASK did not even qualify for Europe in 2025. They finished 7th in the Austrian league, but they too had some managerial issues. But Dietmar Kubar came in and saved it. Now, of course, the Austrian league does things extremely different than a lot of European leagues. Hold that thought while they go forward again here. Here is Lubicic. Here is Lubicic. Lubicic tried to squeeze a pass through. Danik was in the middle there and get it away. They have what they have. They have a 22-match regular season. They finished 3rd in that. Then they go to the championship round, which is a 10-match round robin between the teams that are in the top 5. And they were able to win that one by just 2 points over Sturm Graz. That's how they won the title. I can just hear the complaints from some people. They're probably NASCAR fans that think that's a garbage system. There's probably some European fans that probably think that's a garbage system, but that's the way they do it in Austria. Now here come LASK again. Running at space. Horvath, the captain. Over to the right-hand side. Now looks for the pass. Gives it off to Jorgensen. Cross deflected. The header from Danik. Right at the keeper. As Uzor mentioned, right, he was the top scorer in all competitions. 15 goals last season. LASK defeated Wiener Sport Club, SV Horn, SV Stripfing, Blau-Weiß Linz, and SV Ried, and then Rheindorf Altach 4-2 in extra time in the final to claim the Austrian Cup. Dietmar Kubauer's team, 55-year-old who's managed Wolfsburg Rapid. This is his second spell with LASK. Managed them in the 2022-23 season. They finished 3rd in that campaign. He has 2 Austrian. Interestingly enough, Kubauer, he has won the last 2 Austrian Cups as manager. Prior to the success with LASK, he won it with Wolfsburger in 2025. Celtic coming forward. In to end this, but still, no goals between the champions of Scotland and the champions of Austria. Carter Vickers. They throw in now. I think somebody else is going to take it instead. As far as the Austrian, actually it's the top 6. As far as the Austrian Bundesliga, LASK, they're off to a very successful start to their defense of the title. They've played 3. They've played 3 and won 3 to start their season. Start defense of their title. 3-0 win over Grazer AK, a 4-1 win over Riyadh, and then a 2-0 win over Austria Vienna. Samuel Adeniran with 2 of the goals. Second in the goal scoring list to start the season behind only the Albanian international Giacomo Veroi of Wolfsburg. 75% possession for Celtic, but LASK have had more attempts. It's almost like possession can be an overrated statistic. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. With it here. LASK have made some good runs before in the big European competitions, if you don't count the Intertoto Cup, which I've been a degenerate of this sports competitions for years, and I still have never figured out what the purpose of that. It was a summer competition. They made the semifinals of that. LASK's best run in Europe was that 2019-20 season, and hold that thought as Celtic tried to cut through, but LASK picked it off. The season where I mentioned where they lost at the playoff round to Brugge in the Champions League, they did rebound nicely. They won a Europa League group, which consisted of Sporting Lisbon, PSV, and Rosenborg, and beat AZ Alkmaar in the round of 32 before bowing out in the round of 16 to Manchester United. Here they come again, right-hand side. It just cuts in. And shot is, cross is blocked. It is going to be a throw-in for LASK. LASK also reached the round of 16 in the first ever Conference League, losing a wild tie over 2 legs, 7-5 to Slavia Prague. 2 years ago was their last foray into Europe. Throw in, and no one can really make good contact with it, and keeper ends up grabbing it. But 2 seasons ago, they made the league phase. Now Celtic have room here. Duran, it's Camilla Duran, and again, not a lot of proper contact on that, it has to be said. It was a disappointing European run for LASK. In their last European campaign 2 years ago, they lost 2-1 to Steaua Bucharest in the Europa League playoffs, and they finished 35th in the Conference League phase, 6 matches without a win, losing to Olimpia Ljubljana, Borja Banja Luka losing 7-0 to Fiorentina, while drawing with Djurgården, Cercle Brugge, and Vikingor Reykjavik. The Celtic cross. Duran, of course, one of the new signings for Celtic in the summer. So let's try to do that. Signed from Karabag for an undisclosed fee. Kasper Hupp also signed from Bodo Glimt. The Egyptian Hassim Hassan joined for Real Oviedo, and they also added midfielder Mika Bauer from Paderborn. Kasper Schmeichel retired, of course. Celtic also did lose some pretty big players from their championship team. We mentioned Schmeichel, who retired. Kelechi Iheanacho left on a free to Bursaspor. Dyson Maeda, who was an engine for Celtic for many years, he's now going to try his hand to the Premier League with Ipswich. Celtic playing it from the back yet again. We're in the 19th minute, still goalless in the UEFA Champions League. Celtic and LASK, the champions of Austria, the champions of Scotland, Celtic. Here is Callum McGregor. Oh, this is good passing here. And a bump from behind. A last-ditch bump there for the back by Andrade. to. It's going to be a corner here for Celtic. Celtic with a corner, and not a lot on that. Next to nothing on that, actually. Celtic from the back. Another long ball from Colby Donovan. It's Horvath for LASK. Horvath lifting one in to the far post. Can the LASK man get there? No, not quite. Kasper Jurgensen was the man on the run there. More live soccer or football, depending on whatever you want to call it, or I'll use the JT voice, soccer. He likes to. Friendly, I think. Mock us for doing it, the way we say it. But whatever you want to call it, footy, we like calling it that too. We've got more live action coming your way on Friday, the opening match of the Premier League season, as Arsenal, the champions, host Frank Lampard's newly promoted Coventry. And then Saturday, it is a Premier League and La Liga doubleheader. First at noon Eastern, Brentford against Tottenham. And then at 3:30, Espanyol against Real Madrid. And then Sunday, we've got Manchester City against Bournemouth in the Premier League at 9 a.m. And then Monday at 3 p.m., Fulham and Chelsea in the Premier League. Should be a good one there. Hope you'll be with us for all the excitement as our early season foray into the beautiful game continues. Trying to do a lot of it this year, building off of our World Cup success. A little flick here and grabbed by the LASK goalkeeper. A wide variety of teams will cover. From Heerenveen to Real Madrid, you just never know what's going to be on this particular network. Here's a good ball. Can Dinneran get there? No, he can't. Decided to play it short back to Carter Vickers. Again, don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, but we would like to try and get somebody on this second leg, depending on what it's like. Of course, the playoffs yesterday, all three ties yesterday, ended goalless. Dinamo Zagreb against Viking, LASK Sofia against AEK Athens, and Fenerbahce and Lyon. Of course, one of the headline acts today is NEC, the Dutch side, who made their surprising foray. They're playing in the playoffs against Bodo Glimt. Keep you updated with all the action going on there. As this week and next, it is playoff. The last league phase spots are being filled up. And as I mentioned at the open, there is a difference in terms of prestige and money. If you win this, you go into the league phase. Now, granted, there are some big names in the Europa League this year, but still, you would much prefer to mix it up with the big leagues of the Champions League. The winners of these ties will, the loser will have to go to the league phase of the Europa League to continue its European adventure. Here's Bauer, one of those new Sonics, laying it off. Now here is Carter Vickers. Here is Donovan. Goes back to Cameron Carter-Vickers. Now it's Donovan just inside the penalty area. It's Donovan again. Pass down for Celtic over to Bauer. This is Bauer now back to McGregor. And McGregor for a pass that was intercepted. And LASK might try to hit on the counterattack. Celtic managed by Martin O'Neill. What more can you say about the 74-year-old from Northern Ireland? Started his managerial career at Grantham Town and Shepshed Charterhouse. He really made his name, though, in 1990 when he built Wycombe Wanderers into a non-league force. Won 2 FA trophies, not FA Cups, FA trophies in the 90s, which is the non-league cup for the non-league teams. And led him into the Football League. Then went to Norwich, then Leicester, and then his first stint with Celtic. A nice back heel. Cross coming in. Was over the head of Bauer. Volleyed then back in. And volleyed back in spectacularly. Benjamin Nygren. What a goal. And you can hear that Parkhead roar. Through the Glasgow rain, the Swede has put Celtic 1-0 up. That's a pretty darn good goal, too, from Benjamin Nygren. Just have a whack at it and see what happens. That's what can happen. Keeper stranded and helpless. He reaches, but is nowhere close to it. No chance. And the 25-year-old from Gothenburg, Sweden, who scored 21 times in all competitions for Celtic last season, already has 3 and 3 prior to today. Now 4 goals in 4 appearances at all competitions. Could say he is on a run. He was the player of the year for Celtic last year. And he scores here to give the Green and White Hoops a 1-0 lead. Reminder, if you like what you're seeing and hearing, or more importantly hearing, smash that like and subscribe button. Hit it. Also hit that notification bell to be notified of when we go on USM broadcast. As Celtic go forward again. Down goes a player in the area, but in the box. Referee, though, not interested in the call, and Yang Wen Jun didn't seem to have much argument either. LASK now coming back on the run, right-hand side. And they answer in the area. Not a really good first touch there, it has to be said by Danek. The save in the end made by Vijami Sinisalo, who, of course, is being tasked with filling the shoes of Kasper Schmeichel, the 24-year-old from Finland, who's played for Ayr United, Burton Albion, and Exeter City. He does roll loan spells while being on the books at Aston Villa, but he never played for them. He has pretty famous bloodlines in Finnish corners. His grandfather was the actor Veikko Sinisalo, who appeared in 24 films and television shows in the country between 1954 and 2002. His great-grandfather was Väinö Sinisalo, a politician who was a member of the Parliament of Finland back in the 30s and 40s. left-hand side. LASK coming forward again. Oh boy, Celtic leaving some spaces open. Just covered in time. LASK was a bit slow developing. I mean, Sasha Horvath, I don't think he was paying attention. I don't think he realized that ball was coming to him. Celtic push it forward again, left-hand side, just past the half hour here. Now here come LASK. It's a good long ball. Celtic deal with it. In the defensive cover. Celtic cannot rest on this because they know of the threat that LASK poses. They've already experienced it. Heck, the ball was in the net. It was in the net. 27 seconds. An offside flag spared him. Here's Bello. It's a little 1-2. Now Bello again running. Duran now back to Horvath on the right-hand side, and Donovan back there to cover and boot it away. It will be a throw-in for the Austrian side. The Celtic crowd always boisterous, always vocal in its support of this team. Moses Uzor's throw-in. Back. Uzor again, and another blocked cross. Will be another throw-in for LASK. That's the throw-in. Passing here. It's Danek. Lubacic's cross. Cleared only as far as Uzor. Now Lubacic again. Back to Uzor. Now it finds Alamau. Alamal's pass into the area. And fizzing in the box. And ended up being saved by Sinisalo. Now Celtic would like to try something on the counterattack. And here they go. Left-hand side, and they now stop play. They slow it down. Play has to stop, obviously. Now Bauer, now on the right side, on the far right side, he gives it to Duran. Duran now to Donovan. Now here is Carter Vickers. Run. Here come LASK again. Again, this has had end-to-end feel to it at times. Horvath. It's blocked. Bello. It's a really good cross. That's a really good header, and that's a fine LASK goal. Or is the offside flag ruined it again? Oh, it most certainly has. Oh, the linesman, the scourge of LASK for a second time tonight. This is a really good cross by Bello, and yeah, he is just a scotch off. And Duran is just a scotch off. It's a real shame, because that was a really good header. But the joy for a second time tonight, short-lived by a linesman's flag. The back, LASK now trying to press high. Now here is Lubacic. Horvath lifts one in. Celtic trying to clear it away. Nygren. Now it's Lubicic. The cross. Now here is Andrade. He'll let fly, and it's right at Sinisalo. Not a bad effort from the 27-year-old from Panama City. This is his second spell with LASK. From 2018 to 2022, he made 44 appearances for them. They're seeing. But Dan had a loan spell at Juniors 00, and then the German club Armenia Bielefeld became a permanent one. A year there, went back to LASK in 2023, and he's been there ever since. Part of a Panama team that went to the Gold Cup final in 2023. 29 appearances in the league last season, 35 appearances and 3 goals. A defender who does have, for his career, 11 goals, 250 appearances. So ball to the right-hand side, and I'm going to go as far as Lucas Jungwirth, 22-year-old from Linz, Austria, who's made nearly 40 appearances for LASK. Jungwirth with it now. Across for Celtic. Here's another volley and another goal! Well, the original cross was blocked, but it fell right in the path of Camilo Duran. And Celtic are just that slightest bit, teeny bit closer to the league phase. Some hit from one of the new boys, Camilo Duran. His first goal for the club. The header came back to him right on the edge of the 18. All right, actually in the 18. Went for the cross. It was a good defensive header by LASK, but not good enough. And Duran scores. Duran, a 9-time goal scorer for Karabag last season. Scored and was man of the match in a famous 3-2 comeback win for them in the league phase over Benfica. Is he on his way to taking Celtic there this year? They're 2-0 up, and that's a scoreline that perhaps is just a little bit harsh on the Austrians, given how they play. They've had the ball in the back of the net twice. Linesman's flag has ruined it. Let's cancel it out. Now LASK coming forward again here. Uzor. Celtic trying to run with it here. Hegren and Duran, the goal scores. The other tie is really going on right now. Bodo Glimt lead NEC 1-0. For in. Saba lead Hapoel Beersheva 1-0. And Slovan Bratislava lead Celje by a goal to nil. Celtic now have a corner kick. Near post header is over the bar. Celtic, by the way, get the weekend off. I know I usually wait until the later part of the portion to do this, but because the site we have our stuff is a little bit lacking in information, I'll just go ahead and get it now. They were supposed to play their weekend match at St. Johnston has been postponed, so Celtic's next competitive match will be Tuesday next week. They're gained their second leg in Austria. They're back at home on the 29th of September and home against Falkirk. And by the way, one unique quirk, I think it's like the first time, maybe ever, for the first time in a long time in the history of the rivalry, Celtic and Rangers are going to play each other in back-to-back domestic games, or back-to-back competitive fixtures. I mentioned they're playing each other on September 12th in the quarterfinals of the League Cup. They also play their first league meeting of the season at Celtic Park on the 20th of September. The first game at Ibrox won't be until the new year, January 2nd. LASK also have the week off in the Austrian. Really don't. They'll play Altach and Wolfsberger. Away to Sturm Graz, September 13th, also coming up for them. Here is a shot angle from Usor, and that one is a very tame effort from the Nigerian who led the club in scoring, as we mentioned one season ago, when he had the goal for 25 seconds that was disallowed. Donovan now to Duran. Duran now to McGregor. Duran. Christian Malley with us in the comments, referring to Duran's goal as a nice goal. Glad to have you with us, Christian. This Champions League playoff encounter, first leg between Celtic and LASK. Here's a long ball over the top for the Duran to chase. And apparently there was a foul or something from Celtic. Austin Trusty got in a bit of a fight with the Duran. I think he was arguing because Duran did seem to have his shirt pulled. Trusty couldn't believe a foul was called. If you were watching this match, the world feed just zoomed in on him, and you could tell that rain is really starting to spit sideways. Been heading for the concourse, turn whatever you call it, Scott, the turnstiles or whatever. Have a pie, have a responsible drink perhaps at halftime, and the Celtic fans, I think they'll be pretty pleased with the fact they're up 2-0, obviously, but more so because of the fact that they have gotten away with it a couple of times. Do need to be careful. Now it's Donovan. Nygren. Flinged it back left side. Now Donovan. Donovan now back to Nygren. Score the first Celtic goal, and he pushes for here. He's looking for a good defense splitting pass, but too many black shirts in the way. Foul here and a free kick to LASK. As we are going to be in the final minutes here, we'll see how much stoppage time we get at the end of the first half. Andrade with it. Long ball. And Bello get on the end of it. Not quite. Referee says, as I suspected, 1 minute of stoppage time at the end of the first half. Now Martin O'Neill's team can begin their team talk and start playing for his team's team talk. Well, it's 2 rather spectacular goals. It's put Celtic in front. And I don't believe we're going to see that much funny business. There, and now it's Andrade with it in his own half. The halftime whistle should be blowing at any minute now. 3 seconds left. Wait for it. We played the minute, and the referee says that is enough. Entertaining first half. LASK had the ball in the net after 20 seconds, but it was one of 2 goals of the first half that were disallowed due to offside. Another was a fine, a Dinaran header. Celtic have responded with 2 spectacular volleys, one from Nygren, and then the new boy, Camilo Duran, scoring his first goal for the club in sub-style. And Celtic halfway, still just 25% through overall, but halfway through in the first leg, it looked pretty decent for a trip to the league phase. Halftime at Celtic Park, Celtic 2, LASK 0. Getting set for the start of the second half between Celtic and LASK as the Scottish champions lead the Austrian champions by 2-0. Celtic will be going right to left as you listen in their famous green and white shirts. LASK will go the opposite end in their all black. And away we go to start the second half of this one. 25% roughly through the tie. Although that might not be completely accurate with the prospect of extra time and penalties. So 25% of regulation time. Would probably be a much better way of putting that. Here go LASK, looking to start fast like they did early, but in the first half, but Celtic have put that to the side. A decent one. Well, here is a Dinaran. One of two LASK players who had a goal disallowed for offside of the first half. A really good header, but he was just offside. Here's Bello. Long ball being played here. Now we get a whistle and a stoppage. I'm trying to work through. Here's a long ball right side. Now here's LASK. Chance here. Moses Adore on the right-hand side. He goes into the area. It's a cross in. Not a very good one, though. It has to be said. Well, here is with Sinisalo. Celtic with it in the attacking half. We're trying to pull the ball through. Now it'll be a corner kick. Celtic coming through. They have a corner. They play it short. Have a shot for Kieran Tierney, a halftime substitute. Has a crack at it, but goes away. It'll be a throw-in for the Austrian side in their own half. Good block there. Celtic hang on here and do the job in Austria next week, and they'll be in the Champions League phase. Again, admirable showing 2 years ago when they got to the knockout round playoffs and really gave Bayern Munich everything they wanted and then some. Well, it's a corner kick. is the header. Throw in. And then another volley. Will it be a third spectacular volley goal? No. As Bauer hits that one right at Jungworth. Decent try, though, regardless. Let's get side of their own half. Here's a cross, and Carter Vickers didn't necessarily deal with that particularly well. Now here, and Celtic a bit perplexed. It's been an interesting start to this second half. Working through yet again. Gregor, Tierney, McGregor, and away, and that's going to be a corner for LASK, I believe is what they're ruling. Now LASK working through again after that. When they go the long ball with Uzor, Jorgensen, and again the offside flag ruling an attack. Doesn't take a goal away this time, but it does wipe out a promising attack. Right-hand side, here comes Celtic. Looking for that third goal, maybe. Good last-ditch defending there by Bello. They actually kicked off the Celtic man Duran anyway, so it's going to be a goal kick for. Now on the right-hand side. Now, Tate couldn't get there. trusty. Celtic pick it again. Lead 2 now. We've played 55 minutes. Still no goals to report in this second half. Attacking half. Here comes McGregor. This is McGregor. Nygren. Tierney with a good cross. Over the head of Nygren. Now another chance for Celtic. Deflected and hit the post. That should have been a third. McGregor should have had the third, and will they live to rue that, potentially? I mean, not tonight, but things get dicey next week. Tierney's cross headed away. And it'll be a throw-in for Celtic on the left side. My goodness, though, that was a close one. Celtic passing through again. Tante has it. Now into the area. And a good ball in. And coming in at the far post, left side was Yang, but he really couldn't get proper contact on it himself. So it's a goal kick. Again, end to end here. We good things happening here, but still no one has put it in the back of the old onion bag, as the great Tommy Smith would call it. McGregor. Celtic with it here on the right-hand side. Chip. And no one's there. It's going to go to LASK for a goal kick. Well, it's Trusty on the defend, and Dinaran is offside. Tierney trying to chip it in. Now they work with it here. LASK with it. Horvath. Odor. Good first touch. But just a little bit over the bar. A decent curling effort by the Nigerian forward. Just a little too much on it, though. Now, looking on. O'Neill looks on. Oxlade Chamberlain gave it a role of mere spectator in the owner's box in the fancy seats tonight. Donovan has put in a decent shift on that side. Dinaran working with it here. Now, LASK coming back, right hand side. Jurgen's cross and cleared away. Oh, what a good long ball that is over the top. Udor hesitates a little bit. It's Udor. And Youngworth with a save. A decent long ball play over the top. And Lasker just asking a few questions. That's a really good ball. And Udor does a good job of chasing it. But couldn't do well with the finish. They've won it back here as Celtic were a bit sloppy. Their goal kick. Back it goes over to Nasalo in goal. Now here is Yang for Celtic. They're back in attack on the left-hand side. It's Yang. Good cross. Not good enough, though. LASK had the spaces covered. Still a chance here. Now they go forward. Here's a hopeful shot from distance. And keeper's not going to get troubled by that. Celtic with possession back in their own half. This is Bauer. Bauer loses out. Now Carter Vickers. And Celtic are going to make a change here as play is stopped. And it's Mika Bauer, who's played a pretty good shift tonight. He is going to be done. His race has been run, and let's see who comes on in his place for Celtic. It's going to be one of their veterans, the Japanese international Ryo Hatate, 28 years old, over 130 appearances for Celtic since joining the club back in 2022. Also, believe LASK have made a change. Alessandro Schaff has come in, 32-year-old, who once had a spell with Bayern Munich's reserve team, over 100 appearances for Schalke. And also, you might remember him from a brief spell in the MLS. He made 65 appearances for the Vancouver Whitecaps. Now playing for LASK. And Celtic on the right-hand side. Now it's Nygren with it. Good little layoff and teed up, and oh, it's not a very good clearance. Here's another shot from distance, Duran, and wide of the mark it goes. It's not a bad hit at all there by Camilo Duran. Now it's LASK, another shot. Boy, we're not afraid to shoot from distance tonight, are we? Keepers, they are ready for it. Are you ready for it? Keepers indeed are ready for it. We're now to the right-hand side. And Celtic coming forward. Here's Nygren. Here's another chance. And there's another well-worked goal. It's a second for Camilo Duran. It's a third on the night. And Celtic might just have one foot in the league phase now. But boy, I have to say, 3-0 is rather harsh on the Austrian champions. I mean, Duran's just oh so patient. And he gives it to Nygren, and he says, I'll give it back to you, Camilo, for a lovely side-footed finish past the keeper. Not a chance he's saving that. Not a chance. The Celtic. Are they heading for the league phase? LASK could really use a goal here for the end of this match without conceding, I may add, so they can get into position themselves. LASK coming forward again here. Horvath gives it off. Here is Udor. They go for another chance. Here's another shot on goal, and again, Sinasalo makes the save. Boy, the Celtic fans are really enjoying themselves. And even Sir Rod Stewart in amongst the crowd. Roderick David Stewart. One of the great musicians of all time. If you don't believe that, just ask my mother. You tell her otherwise, she'll throw hands. Saying you don't like Rod Stewart to her, and them's fighting words. Oh, my Lord. Here's LASK with it now. Xavier Mbuyama. There we go. Mbayama. Cross. Just like deflection. And Dinneran attacks this. Ends up dropping to Sinisalo. With it now, so solid, playing it now from the back. Tate. Celtic now won another one. Nightman tried to lay it off, couldn't. Now, here come Celtic again with Camilla Duran. Oh, he's hit from behind. What will this call be? Foul. Celtic on the attack again. Here is Nygren pushing forward. Down closes the door. Back on the right-hand side goes LASK. LASK again on this left-hand side. Possession once again. Ball coming into the area, and it's headed behind for a corner by Donovan. Colby Donovan having himself a game. Now another change here for LASK as Uzor has been subbed off. He's been subbed off, and coming on to replace him as this corner gets set to be taken is Christoph Lang, 24-year-old who scored 10 goals for LASK since joining in February of 2025. Here's the corner kick. Heads go up, and just about sliced wide of the goal there. But to no avail. Boyama with the goal, or with the attempt. Now here is Jorgensen with a cross. Now back to Horvath. Horvath whips it in. Clears the way only as far as Mboyama. Now Nygren. Another sub for Celtic about to come on. Liam Scales is the man who looks set for an arrival. Arrival into this particular match, of course. Here is Liam Scales now set to come on for Celtic. Now Celtic have been a little bit lackadaisical, and Adeniran's in with a chance. But again, straight forward for Sinisalo. Also coming on for Celtic looks to be the Tunisian forward Sebastian Tuanekti. So Tuanekti comes on. So Yang and Tierney, the two that are making way. Glad to have you with us here on Ultimate Sports Media. Again, if you like what you see, or more importantly here, you tune in. You're tuning in, like and subscribe. There's plenty more sporting events where this comes from. And hit that notification bell so you'll be notified 30 minutes before in some instances, and of course in all instances when Ultimate Sports Media goes on the air. Another chip here. Now here is Scales. Tuanekti. Tuanekti now to Hatate. It Scales, and it is blocked from behind. Jorgensen with it. There's Scales. Now, chance. Oh boy, that's could be quite risky for the keeper. Offside, though, saves them. Celtic again roaming forward. The threat has been dealt with, or has it? Here's a shot for LASK. Shot is blocked. And in the end, Celtic was laying going forward. Who's that playing their old defense there? It was Trusty as the ball just goes left side. Here's Horvath. That's to the corner. Tanked. Lang has it. Lang now to Jorgensen. His pass fizzed out, and away it goes by McGregor. Horvath for the corner. Heads go up. Shot, a volley, appeals for handball after the shot came in from Jorgensen. None given. Jorgensen, another cross. Horvath's volley. Wide it goes. forward again, left-hand side again, 3-0 has just been Three nails is really harsh, I again have to say. Another long cross for LASK. Not there. Yellow card for Jurgensen here. Meanwhile, Hassan has come on for Celtic. Donovan off. Donovan and Duran both have come off. So Camilla Duran, great performance. Ralston and Hassan have come on for Celtic here. Now pushing forward. We get another goal here, could they? Here's a good tee-up chance for Celtic. They run through. Scales! Finished it wide. Celtic moving forward again. Hassan has it. It's blocked out of the way. It's going to be another Celtic corner here. Into the 85th minute we go. Another shot from distance, and Jungwirth spilled it briefly, and then save. Now here is Lubicic. Lubicic. Chich still has it. Now back over to go. Lang trying to work in space. Wayama. Wayama with it now. It's a good overlap. It went back to Horvath. The Celtic able to clear their lines and do their work defensively. Here is Scales with a throw-in. Celtic leading, Nygren, and then the 2 goals from Duran. And now Celtic want more. Across, blocked in that corner. They want as much of a lead as they possibly can heading to that game in Heading to that game in Austria next week. Now Celtic on the right-hand side. Corner. And dealt with, and Jurgensen. Job there in the end. And they work with it yet one more time. 87th minute. Here comes Scales. Now it's Tenecti, and the out and goes behind for a corner kick. So a corner kick here for Celtic as they are just trying to I wouldn't say coast, but perhaps just get to the finish line here. Another corner coming here. Tenecti. Ball being played out here. And now LASK with a chance. They've got some space. Can they take a goal with them back home to potentially make things interesting? It would not appear so, at least not on this possession. But they come back. Here's a cross. Vucic tried to get it in, could not do it. They work it back. Heads go up. Here is Alamau. Jurgensen. Lubicic. Now back to Alamau. 90th minute. About to hit here. We have now gone into the 90. Into the 90th at Parkhead. Once again, re-nail the lead to go into the 90th minute now. Now here is Jurgensen. Long cross coming in, a dinner in, didn't get proper contact on the header. Save made in the end by Sinisalo. 3 minutes of stoppage time. That's how much we're getting here. 3 minutes at the end. And again, no word yet on whether we will have that second leg for you next week. Usually it'll be Sunday evening or thereabouts after I sign off of NASCAR coverage. That's usually when I look at the upcoming football/soccer schedule for the week and see if I can squeeze anything in. And we've got plenty more action coming your way. Again, this week's action. Again, Arsenal Coventry on Friday. Saturday, a doubleheader, Brentford-Tottenham, followed by Espanyol and Real Madrid. Sunday, Manchester City against Bournemouth. And Monday, Fulham against Chelsea. Here come LASK. They get one back. Boyama. Horvath. And the shot fired in and wide of the mark by Andrade. It's been that kind of night for the Austrian champions. They've played good stuff. They probably deserved a goal for their exploits, but sometimes you don't get what you deserve in life, and that's just the sad truth of it all. Into the final minute. Inside. Celtic now have it again. This is Tonecti. Now, one last chance for Celtic. Across. And a header. Not much there. Still hasn't been 100% dealt with, and now a foul. And it's going to be a free kick for LASK. But the 3 minutes are up. And the referee is going to blow for full time right here. Celtic now are in the driving seat. They'll head to Austria on next Tuesday with a 3-goal buffer. There's a party, though, that thinks it might not be 100% over because LASK did play very well tonight. They just did not have the finishing touch. Twice they had the ball in the back of the net in the first half, but the offside flag denied it. One, a goal on 25 seconds from Moses Uzor, and then a Samuel Adeniran header. Celtic, all 3 goals. Take your pick. They were all 3 peaches. Benjamin Nygren, and 2 from new boy Camilo Duran. And the side from Glasgow looks set to have some sort, look to make sure that the league phase of the Champions League will have some sort of Scottish representation. Full time of the first leg at Parkhead. It's finished Celtic 3, LASK 0. Special thanks to Matthew Owens and JT for all that they do. For everybody at YouTube, I'm Seth Eves. So long for now, and we will see you next time.